Greetings, friend, and welcome to the Between the Covers podcast, where we are working every day to remove the self-limiting beliefs that are preventing us from becoming the heroes of our own stories. I am Marcus Barr, and today I want to talk about believing in yourself, or I could technically say believing in ourselves. Before we go any further, I do want to remind you that if you are at all interested in working with me, then take a look in the description where there are links to my website, or you can schedule a free 60-minute one-on-one call with me to see if we'll be a good fit for each other. I have openings for new clients, and if you would like some help in becoming the hero of your own story and believe that I would be able to help you out with that, then let's have that conversation. I'd love to see how I can help you become the best possible you that you can be. Believing in ourselves is something I've been having a lot of conversations with my clients, with my friends, and it seems to be a big part of our dynamic journey to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And there's two different things that are taking place here. It's not just what we believe about ourselves. There's also the emotional, ties to these thoughts and these feelings that we have, these beliefs. And for many, many people, and this is something that I've gone through, and I've done a lot of work and still have a lot of work ahead of me. The beliefs that we have about ourselves are often full of shame. Now, this is something that I've mentioned in the past, where the difference between guilt and shame are that guilt is I've done something wrong, shame is there's something wrong with me. And as I've had conversations with clients in the past, and even just some recently, where we're looking at some of these thought patterns and these belief systems that they are holding on to, I have often found that the beliefs are inherently shame-filled about who they are. Now, for a lot of these people, this is something that was just instilled within them. This is something that is learned. This is not something that we are typically born with. And a great example of this is I had this conversation with a client. This was, I think over a year ago. And what came up was just that we are all inherently good people. And I'm like, you know what? I want to share this with others. And so I go on social media and I share this message. And someone relatively close to me was the first one to respond and became biblical in their interpretation of what I was saying, and effectively said that that's not true because the Bible says we are all inherently evil. That was something that was very hard. It's very hard for me to receive that. Here I am trying to say that we are good people, that deep down we're not evil, we're not bad. I'm trying to offer some affirmation, and someone immediately responds back with, that's not true. We're all pieces of shit, essentially. And it makes me wonder, how often do we hear messages like that? How often have you heard a message that says that there's something inherently wrong with you? Not that you did something wrong, but that there's something wrong with you. Another great example of this is I was visiting my mom, and my partner, Libby, and I got these whirligig lawn ornaments for her that we figured she would enjoy. And my mom's like, yeah, just go and put them out in my garden somewhere. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I might not put them where you want me to. And she's like, well, if I don't like them, I'll just move them. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's usually how it goes. And while I am out there and I am trying to find good places to just spear these lawn ornaments into the soil of her garden, I hear one of the most heartbreaking bursts of anger from the other side of the fence in her yard. And it was clearly a very frustrated and at the end of his line father talking to one of his children. And I have no clue what was happening, but the child had done something, and the father goes to, in his anger, saying, how many times have I told you not to do that or not to play with something? What is wrong with you? And that broke my heart when I heard just this burst of outrage. I know that when we're angry, we don't always make the best decisions. We don't always say the most helpful things. And yet, I was so heartbroken because when I heard him say that, and I could compare that with things that I've heard in my past, I just felt like, man, I'm never going to be without this job. There is always going to be a need for people to help individuals unravel these terrible and toxic messages that are told to them, oftentimes at very young ages. I have a challenge that I want to extend to you. And that challenge is, what do you believe about yourself? Do you believe that you are unworthy of love, of a promotion, of safety, of security? Do you believe that there is something inherently wrong with you that makes other people shy away, run away, not want to engage with you? Do you believe that good things are just going to pass you by? Do you believe that you have to settle for everything in life? You have to settle in terms of your job, in terms of where you live, in terms of who you're in a relationship with. Is there something in your life that you wish would change, but no matter what you have done, it just never seems to get any better? Do you believe that you're beyond hope? Do you believe that you're unable to get out of some kind of difficult life situation? Do you believe instead that you are an individual who has inherent value and worth? Do you believe that regardless of what happens, you'll be able to figure some way out? You'll be able to work through whatever life brings you? Do you believe in yourself? For someone who has been on quite the journey of self-belief, let me tell you that if you have incorrect beliefs about yourself, then that is going to create stumbling blocks for you every step of the way as you try and navigate this crazy adventure that we call life. I have often heard that this cycle that we live in starts with our thoughts, and our thoughts lead to our feelings, and then our feelings lead to our actions. And to a certain degree, I would say that's mostly true, and I would even go so far as to say that our thoughts are dictated by our beliefs. With the example that I gave about someone using a verse from the Bible saying that we're all inherently bad or we're all inherently evil, it makes me wonder how that has impacted a lot of my life. That's something that I heard a lot growing up. I heard a lot of those messages that I was just a no good sinner who was saved by grace, that I was undeserving, that I was unworthy. And I know that there are some people who hear those messages and to them they're like, that's beautiful because I have these bad things about my person, about my personality, and I'm able to do better because of these promises that I have. And yet, with many of the conversations that I have with individuals who have had similar experiences, what inevitably is coming up in them is that they are the worst possible person in the entirety of existence. That there is no one who is worse than they are. And for a lot of these people, they often believe that they can't get any better. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to have so many people out there living lives where they are the worst. That they may as well just be the villain in some kind of Disney movie or in some kind of fantasy novel, that they have no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And that is why I believe it is important for us to take a look at what are these beliefs that are driving our thoughts. Because these beliefs, a lot of times, they're operating beneath the surface. We don't know that they're taking place there. It makes me think about the story where I heard as a young child that I was as worthless as tits on a board. And while that seems a very innocuous comment, that had a much larger impact on me than I knew. It created this perfectionism within me, this desire to do everything perfectly, but if I couldn't do it perfectly the first time, then there was no point in trying. That absolutely made me operate at less than my best. And that's why I'm becoming curious. And it's why I encourage you to do the same. What are you telling yourself? And more importantly than that, what do you believe about yourself? Because what you believe oftentimes turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think a great example of this is in the area of dating. If you do not believe that you are someone who is attractive or has some kind of value to bring into a relationship, a lot of times it doesn't matter how many dates you go on, you're not going to find the right people. And if you do, you're not going to attract them. Why? Because we can only stand being around someone who is demeaning and self-deprecating towards themselves before we lose interest. It's really hard for us to attract people toward us when we are naturally giving off a repellent. If you believe that you are a bad person who has no redeeming qualities, it's going to be very hard for you to see the good in yourself. There's always going to be some measuring stick that you just do not measure up with. You're going to be lacking. And this is coming from someone who has personal experience in this area. We are talking about a guiding principle in your existence, in my existence. And if that is not lifting us up, if these beliefs instead are tearing us down, then we will just remain victims in our stories. I implore you to look at what are the things that you are telling yourself, a lot of times without even being aware of it. This is going to take some mindfulness. It is going to take an effort to actually tune in to the radio that is your brain, your subconscious brain, and bring it to your consciousness to say, what am I saying about myself? What am I doing? How is this impacting me? A great way to determine what some of these beliefs are, take a look at what you should be doing. It's something that I learned several years ago, and I use this a lot when I am doing some of my own work and when I'm helping others, is we are shoulding all over ourselves. I should be a better friend. I should be smarter than I am. I should be better at this sport or this activity. I should be kinder. I shouldn't be so angry all the time. I should eat better. I should exercise more. What are the should messages that you are giving yourself oftentimes on a daily basis? These messages where you are using should oftentimes are based on your beliefs. Clue in to these messages. What are you telling yourself that is creating a sense of how you feel, and then through those feelings, how you are navigating the world with your actions? Are you keeping yourself small because you shouldn't be that forceful of an individual? You're being too much. I shouldn't be too much. Are you an individual who keeps powering up whenever there is an opportunity because I should be strong, I should be capable, I should not show any weakness? What are you saying to yourself that is creating a pattern? Oftentimes that is self-deprecating. If you're one of those people who your inner monologue, your inner self-talk is actually building you up, great. Continue to do so. Most of the people that I run into, though, most of the people that I interact with, that's not the normal. And I guess I shouldn't even use the normal as an example because, again, what the hell is normal around here? It's not common. It is not common, at least in my experience, for people to have consistent, life-building, positive self-talk that is coming from these incredible depths of belief about who we are. If that's who you are, great. Can you please teach the rest of us how we can do that same thing? And if that's not you, if you're more like me, who gives into these negative thoughts, who has self-limiting beliefs, and you struggle to believe in yourself. We have to start somewhere. And the first thing to do is to determine, what do I believe about myself? How do I figure that out? We can actually take this cycle of behavior and we can work backwards. So what's the action? There's this action that is a part of my life that I don't want to have there anymore. Or, man, I really got myself small again when I really should have spoken up for myself. Whatever the action is, take a look at that action. Whatever that action is, take a look at that action and then start to work backwards. What were the feelings that led to that action? If you can define the feelings, great. What were the thoughts that predicated those feelings? And if you become curious enough, those thoughts will go back and they will reveal what you believe about yourself. That's what I encourage you to do. The best thing that you can do through this is engage in your own inner monologue with compassion and curiosity. Please don't judge yourself as you're doing this. Please do not judge yourself. That's what a lot of these self-limiting beliefs are doing. They're judging us. So be compassionate with yourself and then ask questions. Just become curious. Why did I do that? Why do I feel this way? Why did I think that? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about the people around me? And one of the things that is important as we're doing this very difficult work here is you can only change yourself. There is nothing that you can do to cause someone else to change. That's entirely on them. So do what you can in order to change the beliefs you have about yourself so that they are giving you life instead of destroying any kind of foundation that you can stand on and be firm on. I hope that these musings have been helpful to you in any way. And I'm looking forward to talking with you again next week. And until next time, live strong for today.